about the firepower. As you said, quite possibly too much for Sierra Leone.
Kinds of problems. So what they've got to be careful of is those runs in there and those runs in there when you're leaving these areas exposed just over here and over there as well. That's going to be critical. Do you see that panning out like that, Gavin, with Pepe down that side?
I think well, the big thing there, Andre, is they play invertedly. Where Zaha is right-footed and plays on the left-hand side, and Pepe is left-footed and plays on the right-hand side. So that means the back four can stay a little bit narrower, you know, because you're not going to get isolated, get beat on the outside, because generally they want to drift inside and beat you on the outside. So that keeps the back four narrow. I think it plays a little bit into their hands a little bit sometimes. Because if you're going to be under pressure, let's keep the back four nice and tight and narrow. We don't want our fullbacks going out or anything. If they swapped over and they're trying to beat you on the outside, that's when you get a little bit more isolated. So I think that's a key thing, Andre, that you said there now. But you know, Cote d'Ivoire, they always play 4-3-3. They've been doing this for years. And if they can get a little bit of service into Halle, I think, you know, the score could be anything here, you know.
I think also, just on the other side of that, they're going to need to find a way to break down that defense on the other side of Cote d'Ivoire there. Now, when we look at how they line up with that 4-3-3, does that mean they're going to want to get players into these areas, so you try and pull that defense apart? Going to be key for them today?
I think the biggest problem, with this Cote d'Ivoire defense is sometimes they give a lot of free kicks away. With Bailey being a little bit rash and Aurora being a little bit rash, they're a little bit hot-headed type of defenders, and they come out into bad areas. And I think then the game stops, and then you can get deliveries into the box. If you look at the game against Algeria, they got some good deliveries in the box early on, and they had one of the chances. That's going to be their best chance from restarts. And I think with those two defenders who, you know, come down and they start going through the back of the strikers, and that, I think that's where the opportunities might come in.
All right, so just talking about the importance from the Ivory Coast point of view of making sure that the creativity is there as well from everyone involved, including the defense, and just bringing in those all-important goals to the attackers up front. Now, when it comes to Sierra Leone...
Yeah, and you've got the rest of him, and this guy here, Ngura, gets on the end of free kicks out wide. He's got a very good heading ability about him. I think that's going to be, for the most part, that's going to be the way that I see this game panning out for Sierra Leone.
I think the big thing you've seen in this tournament, even the minnow teams, the teams are so athletic. So they've got a little bit of pace in the wide areas and they get themselves out, you know. Because generally they're going to be playing from their own half a lot of the time, Sierra Leone. So you need to get a little bit of athleticism to get out. And they've got the strength and the power. So anytime, as I said, we've said you're right, on the set play, even throw-ins, you know, they can push Kolke into the box, float in the box, you know, things happen there, you know. And that's where they can possibly get something. But I think to outplay them and outpass them, I don't think they've got the quality.
All right, we're going to be getting your predictions very shortly. I know you've already started.
This is perhaps all too true for Tunisia, who, by virtue of having finished 4th in Egypt in 2019 and making a 15th consecutive appearance at AFCON this year, were dubbed the firm favourites to finish top of Group F. But after a rocky and controversial start to their campaign, Tunisia now somewhat surprisingly find themselves languishing at the bottom of the log as they prepare for their second group game. The Eagles of Carthage suffered a 1-0 loss to Mali in their opening fixture, one which will perhaps be remembered more for the rather
Shakira
officiating rather than the end result. They did subsequently lodge a request for the match to be replayed, but the request was denied, which means they will need to quickly turn their disappointment into motivation and step out strongly against Mauritania at the Limbe Omnisport Stadium in their second Group F fixture. Both sides coming to the encounter on the back of defeats after Mauritania also went down 1-0 to Gambia in their opening game and have now both recorded defeats in their last 2 international matches, with both teams seeming...
Well, the Carthage Eagles, one of the tournament favourites, had a less than perfect start to their Africa Cup of Nations campaign, and themselves, along with Mauritania, still needing to pick up some points. They should get the job done here.
Yeah, they should. They weren't very good in the first game for this year. Very lethargic. I think the later kickoff might help them. You know, not that it's cooler, but they normally play in the middle of the day, so I think